You've heard the myth. Germany's jet fighters were war-winning wonder weapons that arrived too late. Here's the twist. Yes, they were fast and futuristic, but their origin story and actual use are way messier than the legend. Let's start with the Me262, designed before the war's endgame chaos. Its core idea was simple: outrun Allied fighters and smash bomber formations. The Jumo 004 turbojets gave it insane speed for 1944, around 540 miles per hour. In a straight line, nothing could touch it. But the engines were fragile. Wartime alloys were in short supply. Turbine blades wore out fast. Think 10 to 25 hours before overhaul, sometimes less. You've probably heard Hitler personally delayed it by demanding a bomber version. That's not a myth. He pushed for the Schnellbomber role, diverting effort and slowing fighter deployment by months. When it did show up, units like JG-7 and JV-44, they used the Me262 to harass bombers and make slashing attacks on escorts. Tactics were boom and zoom, dive in fast, fire the 30mm cannons, and avoid turning fights where speed advantage disappears. Did it work? In spurts, yes. The Me262 bagged hundreds of aircraft. But war-winning? Not close. Fuel shortages, short-lived engines, poor runways, and limited pilot training capped its impact. Allied pilots adapted too, attacking jets during takeoff and landing when they were slow and predictable. Around 1,400 Me262s were built. Only a few hundred ever flew in combat, and usually in small numbers. Now the HE162, the Volksjäger, or People's Fighter, origin, desperation. After brutal bomber raids, Germany wanted a quick, cheap jet that could be built from non-strategic materials, by semi-skilled labor. The result, a wooden airframe, slapped around a single BMW 003 engine, designed in weeks. On paper it was sleek and fast. In reality it was rushed. Early test flights saw structural failures, glue quality and workmanship were inconsistent. The cockpit layout was tight, systems were minimal, and the engine had even narrower margins than the Me262. The plan was to hand this machine to barely trained pilots. That's the real mythbuster. People's Fighter didn't mean simple and safe, it meant hurry. Operationally, the E162 arrived in spring 1945 with JG-1. A handful flew combat sorties. A handful scored kills. But accidents, maintenance headaches, and a collapsing logistics network grounded as many as combat did. Total built was a few hundred. Meaningful impact was close to zero. So what were these jets, really? The Me262, a glimpse of the future limited by the present, amazing speed, lethal firepower, strangled by engines and supply. The HE162, a brilliant blueprint rushed into a brittle reality. Light, fast, but too fragile, and too late. The myth says they could have turned the war around.